Most people think heart attacks happen because of high cholesterol or lack of exercise. But cardiologists in Japan have identified something far more dangerous: a single morning habit that 80% of heart attack patients have in common. And the shocking part? 99% of us do it without even thinking. Welcome to Prime Health Lab, where we help you live stronger, healthier, and longer through simple, science-backed changes. I'm glad you're here today because what we're about to discuss could genuinely save your life. If this kind of practical health information matters to you, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss future videos that could make a real difference in how you feel every single day. So what is this morning mistake that nearly everyone makes? It's drinking water the wrong way right after waking up. Now, before you think this sounds too simple to matter, let me walk you through exactly what happens inside your body when you make this error, and why it sets off a dangerous chain reaction that can lead to a heart attack years down the road. Let me tell you about Michael, a 62-year-old retired teacher. Every morning, Michael would wake up, shuffle to the kitchen, and immediately drink a large glass of ice-cold water. He thought he was doing something healthy. Hydrating first thing, right? That's what all the wellness articles say. But 3 months ago, Michael had a heart attack. Not a massive one, thankfully, but enough to land him in the hospital. When his cardiologist reviewed his habits, this morning water routine became a major point of discussion. Here's what most people don't understand. When you sleep, your body enters a state of rest and repair. Your blood pressure drops, your heart rate slows down, and your blood vessels relax. This is completely natural and necessary. But the moment you wake up, your body starts transitioning back into active mode. Your nervous system shifts from parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest mode, to sympathetic, which is your fight or flight mode. This transition is delicate and takes time. Now imagine you introduce a sudden shock to this system. When you drink ice-cold water immediately after waking, several things happen at once. First, the cold temperature causes an immediate constriction of blood vessels in your throat and digestive tract. This is a protective reflex your body has developed over millions of years. But here's where it gets dangerous. This sudden constriction sends a signal to your nervous system that something alarming is happening. Your sympathetic nervous system, which was already starting to activate, now kicks into overdrive. Your heart rate spikes, your blood pressure jumps, and if you already have any underlying cardiovascular issues, even minor ones you might not know about, this sudden spike can be the trigger that causes a plaque in your artery to rupture or a clot to form. That's the beginning of a heart attack. Not the cold water itself, but the shock to a system that wasn't ready for it. The second problem happens in your stomach. When cold water hits your empty stomach, it causes the muscles in your digestive tract to contract sharply. This contraction affects the vagus nerve, a major nerve that runs from your brain down through your chest and into your abdomen. The vagus nerve is intimately connected to your heart rhythm. When it gets stimulated suddenly, it can cause irregular heartbeats, or what doctors call arrhythmias. For most people, these irregularities are brief and harmless. But for someone with an already stressed cardiovascular system, especially seniors, this can be the spark that ignites a serious cardiac event. There's also a third mechanism at play that researchers have been studying more closely in recent years. When you drink a large amount of water very quickly on an empty stomach, it dilutes your blood temporarily. Your body has to work hard to restore the proper balance of electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and magnesium. These electrolytes are essential for maintaining normal heart rhythm. When they fluctuate rapidly, your heart's electrical system can misfire. Think of it like trying to start a car with a weak battery on a cold morning. Sometimes it works fine, but sometimes that extra stress is just too much. Japanese cardiologists have been particularly focused on these morning habits because heart attacks in Japan tend to peak in the early morning hours, between 6 and 10 a.m. They've studied thousands of patients and found this pattern repeatedly. The combination of the body's natural morning surge in blood pressure, plus the shock of cold water, plus an empty stomach, creates what they call the perfect storm for cardiovascular events. But here's what made Michael's story interesting. He wasn't just drinking cold water. He was drinking it fast, gulping it down because he was always in a hurry to start his day. He'd finish a full glass in less than 30 seconds. His body never had a chance to adjust. The shock was immediate and severe every single morning for years. When his doctor explained this to him, Michael was stunned. He'd been unknowingly stressing his heart every single day, thinking he was doing something healthy. The question you're probably asking yourself right now is this: if drinking water in the morning is dangerous, what am I supposed to do? I wake up thirsty. My mouth is dry. Surely I need to hydrate, and you're absolutely right. Hydration is critical, especially for seniors. As we age, our sense of thirst diminishes, and dehydration becomes a real concern. But the solution isn't to avoid water. The solution is to drink it the right way. Let me introduce you to someone else. Her name is Patricia, a 67-year-old woman who had been experiencing occasional chest tightness in the mornings. Nothing severe enough to go to the emergency room, but enough to worry her. Her daughter, who happened to be a nurse, suggested she change her morning water routine based on something she'd learned in a cardiology seminar. Patricia was skeptical at first. How could something so simple make a difference? But she tried it anyway, and within 2 weeks, the chest tightness disappeared completely. What Patricia started doing was this. Instead of drinking cold water immediately upon waking, she kept a small bottle of room temperature water on her nightstand. When she woke up, she would sit up slowly, take a few deep breaths, and then sip the water slowly over the course of 5 to 10 minutes. Not gulping, not rushing, just small, gentle sips. This simple change allowed her body to transition from sleep to wakefulness without the shock. Now let's understand the science behind why this works so much better. Room temperature water, somewhere between 68 and 76 degrees Fahrenheit, doesn't trigger the same vascular constriction that ice-cold water does. Your blood vessels remain relatively relaxed. There's no sudden shock to your system. Your nervous system can continue its natural, gradual transition from rest mode to active mode without being jolted into overdrive. When you sip water slowly, you're also giving your body time to process it properly. Your stomach doesn't get overwhelmed with a large volume all at once. The vagus nerve isn't suddenly stimulated, and your electrolyte balance remains stable because your kidneys and other organs have time to adjust gradually. Think of it like warming up before exercise. You wouldn't sprint at full speed the moment you step out your door, would you? You'd start with a walk, then a light jog, then gradually increase your pace. Your cardiovascular system needs the same kind of gentle transition in the morning. There's another important element here that Patricia's nurse daughter understood well. The position of your body matters. When you drink water while lying flat or immediately after standing up too quickly, you're adding additional stress to your cardiovascular system. Blood pressure changes dramatically when you move from lying down to standing up. This is called orthostatic stress. If you combine that positional change with the shock of cold water, you're doubling the burden on your heart. So the proper protocol looks like this. When you wake up, stay in bed for a moment. Take 3 or 4 deep breaths. This signals to your nervous system that you're waking up safely and calmly. Then sit up slowly and remain sitting on the edge of your bed for about 30 seconds. This gives your blood pressure time to adjust. Then reach for room temperature water and begin sipping it slowly. Not gulping, not rushing, just calm, measured sips. Here's something else that researchers have discovered. Adding a tiny pinch of natural sea salt to your morning water can actually be beneficial. I'm not talking about regular table salt. I'm talking about unrefined sea salt that contains trace minerals, about 1/8 of a teaspoon in a glass of water. This helps maintain electrolyte balance right from the start of your day and supports healthy blood pressure regulation. Many traditional cultures have known this instinctively for centuries. They understood that plain water on an empty stomach could be harsh, but water with minerals was gentler and more nourishing. Now, I want to address something important. Some of you might be thinking, I've been drinking cold water in the morning my entire life, and I'm fine. Why should I change now? That's a fair question. The reality is that our bodies are incredibly resilient when we're young. A 20-year-old can shock their system with cold water, stay up all night, eat poorly, and bounce back quickly. But as we age, that resilience diminishes. Our blood vessels become less flexible. Our heart has been beating for decades and might have accumulated some wear and tear. Our nervous system doesn't recover from stress as quickly. What was harmless at 30 can become dangerous at 60. Patricia didn't have a diagnosable heart condition when she started having chest tightness. Her EKG was normal, her cholesterol was managed, but her body was telling her something was wrong. And by making this one simple change to how she drank water in the morning, she eliminated a daily stressor that her heart didn't need. 6 months later, she told her daughter that she also noticed she had more energy throughout the day and felt less anxious. That's because her nervous system wasn't being shocked into fight or flight mode every single morning. There's one more critical point I need to make about timing. Even if you're drinking room temperature water and sipping it slowly, you should wait at least 15 to 20 minutes after waking before drinking anything. Give your body that quiet transition time. Let your heart rate and blood pressure stabilize naturally. Some people find it helpful to do gentle stretches or practice a few minutes of calm breathing during this time. Then, when you do drink water, your body is ready to receive it without stress. Think about how engines work. When you start a car that's been sitting overnight, especially in cold weather, you don't immediately rev the engine to maximum speed. You let it idle for a minute or two. You let the oil circulate. You let the components warm up. Your body works the same way. Your heart is a muscle. Your blood vessels need time to adjust. Your entire cardiovascular system benefits from a gentle, gradual wake-up process. Now let's talk about what happens over time when you make this change, and why the long-term benefits go far beyond just preventing heart attacks. This is where the real transformation happens, and it's something most people never connect to something as simple as their morning water routine. I want to tell you about David, a 71-year-old man who made this change 18 months ago. David had been on blood pressure medication for 8 years. His doctor had gradually increased the dose over time because his morning blood pressure readings were consistently high, even though his evening readings were normal. This pattern puzzled his doctor. Why would someone have such a dramatic difference between morning and evening blood pressure? When David learned about the morning water mistake, he decided to try the new approach. Room temperature water, slow sipping, waiting 20 minutes after waking. He didn't expect much. He figured it was worth trying, but doubted it would make any real difference. But something remarkable happened. Within 6 weeks, his morning blood pressure readings started to drop. Within 4 months, his doctor was able to reduce his medication dosage. Today, David's morning and evening blood pressure readings are nearly identical, and he's on the lowest dose of medication he's been on in years. What was happening in David's case is something cardiologists call morning blood pressure surge. It's normal for blood pressure to rise in the morning as your body wakes up. But in some people, especially those who shock their system with cold water or other stressors, that surge becomes excessive. Day after day, year after year, this excessive surge damages blood vessels. It's like repeatedly overinflating a balloon. Eventually, the balloon becomes stretched out and weak. Eventually, it might pop. That's what happens with blood vessels under constant excessive pressure. When you eliminate the morning shock by drinking water properly, you're not just preventing a heart attack on that particular day. You're reducing cumulative damage to your entire cardiovascular system over months and years. Your blood vessels remain more elastic. Your heart doesn't have to work as hard. The lining of your arteries, called the endothelium, stays healthier. This is the kind of preventive health that actually changes your trajectory as you age. There's another profound benefit that people like David discovered: better sleep quality. Now you might be wondering, what does morning water have to do with sleep? Here's the connection. When you shock your nervous system every morning, you're essentially training your body to be in a state of alarm. Your stress hormone cortisol spikes higher than it should. Your adrenaline surges. Over time, this pattern affects your entire circadian rhythm. Your body starts anticipating this morning shock, and it can actually prevent you from reaching the deepest, most restorative stages of sleep because your nervous system never fully relaxes. When you switch to a gentle morning routine, your nervous system begins to trust that waking up is safe. There's no shock coming, no alarm. Your cortisol follows a healthier pattern. You sleep more deeply because your body knows it can fully rest. David noticed this within the first month. He was sleeping through the night without waking, which hadn't happened in years. He felt more rested during the day. His mood improved, all from changing how he drank water in the morning. Let me explain the hormonal cascade that happens here, because it's fascinating. When you shock your system with cold water, your adrenal glands release cortisol and adrenaline. These are stress hormones. They're meant to help you escape danger. But when they're released every single morning for years, they create chronic low-level stress in your body. Chronic stress suppresses your immune system. It increases inflammation throughout your body. It makes it harder to maintain a healthy weight. It affects your mood and mental clarity. When you remove that daily stressor, everything begins to recalibrate. Your cortisol levels follow a more natural rhythm, high in the early morning to help you wake up, then gradually declining throughout the day. Your immune system functions better. Inflammation decreases. Many people report that joint pain improves, brain fog lifts, and they have more consistent energy throughout the day. They often attribute these changes to other factors, never realizing it started with how they drink water. There's also a social and emotional dimension to this that's worth considering. When you start your day in a state of physiological stress, even if you don't consciously feel stressed, it affects how you interact with the people around you. You might be more irritable, less patient, quicker to react emotionally. You might feel a vague sense of anxiety that you can't quite explain. This is your nervous system responding to the pattern you've established. When you begin your day calmly, with a gentle transition, you carry that calmness into your interactions. You're more present with your spouse over breakfast. You're more patient with unexpected delays. You make better decisions throughout the day because your stress hormones aren't already elevated before you've even left the house. This might sound like I'm overstating the impact of a simple habit, but I'm not. The way you start your day sets the physiological and emotional tone for everything that follows. Now, here's what I want you to understand about making this change. It's not about perfection. Maybe you wake up one morning and forget, and you gulp down cold water out of habit. That's okay. One day won't undo everything. What matters is the consistent pattern you establish over weeks and months. Your body adapts to patterns. When the pattern is gentle and supportive, your body responds with better health. When the pattern is stressful, your body responds with disease over time. Some of you might be in a situation where you're already dealing with heart disease, high blood pressure, or other cardiovascular issues. If that's you, this change is even more important. Talk to your doctor about it. Show them the research coming out of Japan and other countries studying morning cardiovascular events. Most doctors will support anything that reduces unnecessary stress on your heart. And while you're making this change with your water routine, maintain your medications, keep your regular appointments, and follow your treatment plan. This isn't a replacement for medical care. It's a complement to it. For those of you who are healthy right now, this is your opportunity to stay that way. Prevention is always easier than treatment. The choices you make today determine your health 5, 10, 20 years from now. Heart disease doesn't develop overnight. It develops through thousands of small stressors accumulated over decades. By eliminating just one of those daily stressors, you're investing in a healthier future version of yourself. And if you found this information valuable, if it made you think differently about something as simple as drinking water, then subscribe to Prime Health Lab. We're building a community of people who want to age with strength, clarity, and vitality through practical, science-based choices. Share this video with someone you care about, especially if they're over 60. This information could literally save a life. Leave a comment below and let me know if you're going to try this new morning routine. I read every comment, and I'd love to hear how this works for you. Remember, your health is built one choice at a time, and this choice, this simple change to how you drink water in the morning, could be one of the most important ones you make.